Hi there, today I'm going to be showing you the equipment that I will be bringing to Victory Show in the upcoming weekend. Please bear in mind that some of this equipment isn't going to be wholly accurate to what soldiers would have worn during World War II, but it's a general idea and it's good enough for reenactment. When there is something that is inaccurate, I will try my best to mention it, but there's always the chance that I will miss something. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so this is the first part of the equipment, and that is the very basic, haven't even tucked my shirt in yet, very basic shirt and trousers, as well as my boots and gaiters, which I will show you in a minute. So the first thing is this white shirt, which I was wearing in the intro. It is a very basic white shirt. This is a modern one. You can generally get away with that. They weren't really as standardized, so you see some people wearing vests instead of white shirts like this, but these are quite good for having something underneath, which I will always recommend no matter what you do. If you do British stuff, apart from desert, you should always have something underneath. These trousers are 1949 pattern trousers. The only real noticeable difference between them usually is the placement of the map pocket. On the actual World War II era ones, they'll be on the front around here. On the 1949 ones, they'll be on the side. However, mine are completely missing the map pocket. I have no idea why. I only got these because they were cheap, pretty much. Generally, no one can tell, apart from the one thing that people do point out to me is the fact that this bit here is not as bulky. If you look at original World War II photographs, you will see that their trousers are really bulky around the bottom, and that is because of the design of the trousers. Going back over here, we have the gaiters. These are standard British Army gaiters. The gaiters are worn over the trousers and the boot so as to not let rocks in. They're quite nice. They're basically the alternative to having high up boots. The boots themselves are British Army DMS boots. The reason that I don't use ammunition boots is because actually the 2nd Oxen Bucks didn't wear ammunition boots because they were a stealthy kind of force doing secret operations. They didn't want the clacking noise of the hobnails to get in the way of their operations. Now, the last thing that I have put on here is my watch. This is a British Army watch cover. However, I do have a more modern wristwatch here, which you probably can't see because it's probably not in focus. The reason that I have a more modern watch is just so I can tell the time easier, really. You can put basically whatever you want under the cover. Just make sure that you're only taking small peeks. All right, so the next items are pretty integral to the British Airborne uniform. Mainly the Denison Smock is kind of the face of British Airborne. If you had to pick any, apart from the maroon beret, I'd probably go with the Denison Smock. Now this is, I believe, a 2nd pattern Denison Smock because it has the buttons at the back for this flap. This flap used to just hang low down like this, which would sometimes be a bit annoying for paratroopers and airborne soldiers. What this does is hooks up in the front like this to stop your smock riding up when you're jumping out of an aeroplane. Now, the 2nd Oxen Bucks didn't do that, and so it's not that big of a deal, but it is what it is. I've also got this scrim scarf. This is basically just something to help warm yourself up. And well, originally it was intended as a kind of camouflage veil to put over your helmet to break up your silhouette, but generally you see a lot of people wearing them as scarves. The last piece here is my walking out belt. This is very standard British Army belt. This is just a 1937 pattern belt. It's just one that I wear so that I can walk out. It's not lumbered down by the rest of your webbing equipment. It's just one that you can stick on and it's very nice because when you don't have it, the smock is a bit big. You can do it with the toggle rope as well, although I found that the toggle rope isn't the right size for me. So a walking out belt is quite nice to have. All right, the next piece of equipment is the webbing, which is something that I believe a lot of people like to look at. It's something that the kids will come up and ask you about and things, and it is a pretty standout bit of kit for any soldiers generally. So yeah, here is my very basic webbing. This is kind of the minimum that you can get away with, I guess. We have two Bren ammunition pouches on the front. One, this one here, stores Bren gun magazines. The other, this one here, stores personal ammunition. I've got a bandolier in here that I will show you in a minute. That's attached to a very basic 1937 pattern belt, as you saw before. The Bren magazine pouches are held up by these two suspenders here, which I personally like to put underneath my epaulette like this. Stops it from falling down, which is annoyingly common, and it's something that I had to deal with my desert kit before I had a desert shirt. Attached to the ammunition pouches again is what is called an L strap, which I put over the top so that I can easily get my haversack on and off. The L strap is named as such because it goes up here and up there, well, along there. And that is used to hold the haversack. This here, a very basic bag, generally meant to hold a lot of kit, but I just put one jumper in there, and I have a hat in there as well, and that is just to really pad it out. If you're doing a battle, you really don't want to be falling back onto your hard mess tins or anything. You want something softer to land on. The last thing on here is this, my canteen. This is an original, and so I will not be drinking out of it because that is disgusting. All right, here is what I'm going to be calling my secondary webbing or secondary ammunition carrying and what have you. There are quite a few items in here, and so I'll go over each of them. The first and probably most standout that I will go over is this, which is brand new, my auxiliary Bren ammunition. So if you're a Bren gunner, or more specifically a number 2 Bren gunner, or Bren loader, spotter, whatever you want to say, mainly a loader, then you will be most likely carrying some extra Bren ammunition. These are slightly larger than these. I'll put them right next to each other, and you've got two. I've got one on my back and one on my front. I got these very recently, only a couple of days ago. I got them from a museum gift shop, and you would know if you follow me on Instagram, so go do that. They have this strap here to make sure it doesn't wobble around, as you can see. I have this, which is a Lee Enfield bandolier. This carries Lee Enfield ammunition for my own personal weapon. If I were a number 2 Bren gunner, that would be important. The final bit is the toggle rope. This is a very nice bit of kit here, you can see here, and you can use it for a whole bunch of stuff. You can use it to build a bridge, you can use it to climb things. I think it's really nice. It wraps around over your shoulders like this, ties at the back, and looks quite cool. Okay, so this is basically it, apart from one small thing, which is that I will have a helmet net and scrim by the time of victory show. So yeah, the helmet is an HSAT. Specifically, this is a Mark 1, seeing as it has the leather chin strap. I personally prefer the look of the Mark 1. Generally, it's more accurate to have the leather chin strap for the second Ox and Bucks because they mainly wore P-type helmets, as far as I'm aware, which are incredibly difficult to get your hands on. They cost thousands to get, and personally, I can't afford that. One last thing is this here, which is my beret. Now, I'm probably not going to be wearing my beret very often, but something I thought I would note is this here. This is the cap badge of the 2nd Oxfordshire and Buckinghamshire Light Infantry Regiment. However, it is not correct. The 2nd Ox and Bucks wore the collar badge on their beret, and I do actually have a correct collar badge, but I haven't had the chance to put it on my beret yet because it requires some modification to my beret to be able to fit on it, and I just haven't had the the chance yet. Okay, so the final thing that I will be wearing at the Victory Show is this. This is going to be my nighttime attire, because it gets quite cold at night, especially if you've got a warm day, because there won't be any clouds to retain the heat. And so it gets cold at night. And this is what I will be wearing when it gets cold, inevitably. This is a post-war British greatcoat. It is very similar to the Second World War version. There are only a few slight differences. This is a Royal Signals one, and so I will not be wearing it during open hours. I will be sticking to my wool trousers as they get very warm if necessary. They're generally good at regulating heat, as is any wool. I've got wool gloves as well. These are British Army rifle gloves, which are for being able to still shoot, but working as a mitten for most of your fingers. And I really love these gloves. I use them as my standard gloves because they're just really nice. The last piece is the British Army cap comforter. This is an acrylic reproduction. So acrylic can sometimes scratch my head and I don't really like it, but it warms my head up. I wear it often for my desert impression. I probably won't be wearing it during the day at Victory Show, but it is very nice in the night. Lighter than a helmet, keeps your head warm, and it's generally very nice just for that. So this is my nighttime attire for Victory Show. This is basically all of my kit that I will be taking. Obviously there are a few more personal items that I'm going to be taking for camping and everything, but this is the military, you know, Second World War equipment that I'm going to be wearing at the event starting tomorrow. So yes, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed me going through all of the bits of kit that I'll be wearing at Victory Show. Goodbye.